I strive to stay objective when covering sports, but honestly, there are times when it's impossible to ignore the elephant in the room. Case in point, the play by Jacy Sheldon that targeted Caitlin Clark during a recent game. Let's be real here watching that replay, there's no universe where you could call it a basketball play. Anyone with eyes can see that it was intentional and reckless, and it's beyond frustrating that some people are still trying to defend it. The uproar from fans across the WNBA universe is deafening, and the anger is palpable. People have had enough, and it's no surprise. What started as a physical confrontation on the court has snowballed into a massive call for action, with fans demanding one thing: financial consequences. If you think Sheldon should be suspended for this, drop a comment below. The time for action is now. Let's set the stage. The game between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, which should have been a routine matchup, turned into something much darker. Jacy Sheldon had been aggressively guarding Caitlin Clark all night, often one-on-one up the court and mixing in double teams in the half-court. There was a lot of chirping back and forth, but nothing that felt out of the ordinary for a heated game. But everything changed with Clark's final play before coming out of the game. After Sheldon fouled her earlier, Clark responded by staring Sheldon down, an icy message: "If you poke me in the eye, I'll make you pay." Clark then found her favorite spot just beyond the free throw line and nailed a huge three-pointer, showing the world that despite the physical tactics, she wasn't rattled. Sheldon, on the other hand, didn't take it well. She yelled at the Connecticut bench, fired up by Clark's response. But that moment, that was when the game's tone shifted completely. It wasn't just the plays on the court that had fans enraged. It was Sheldon's behavior afterward. In the past, trash talk and physicality were part of the game, but this was different. Sheldon's actions felt less like competitive spirit and more like a personal vendetta against Clark. This wasn't some accidental bump or misplaced reach, it was deliberate. Sheldon jabbed her fingers straight into Clark's eye, and the smirk on her face afterward made it clear she had no remorse. Fans were shocked by how overtly dirty the play was, and the reaction was immediate. Posts and hashtags like #BenJacySheldon started trending on social media as fans from all corners of the basketball world demanded that Sheldon face the consequences for her actions. The message was loud and clear: it wasn't just a foul, it was an attack on one of the league's most valuable stars, and it wasn't going to be ignored. What made the incident even worse was how Sheldon followed up after Clark stumbled and reeled from the eye poke. Sheldon grabbed Clark's arm, digging her nails in and continuing her aggressive behavior with no basketball purpose whatsoever. And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't escalate further, Marina Maberry came out of nowhere to deliver a brutal blindside shove that sent Clark crashing to the hardwood. The refs? They were nowhere to be found. In what world is this okay? How are the officials standing by and allowing this to happen to the WNBA's biggest star? Fans at home were rightfully outraged, watching as the referees did nothing to protect Clark or even acknowledge the dangerous behavior on the court. The lack of intervention was staggering, and it led to even more frustration from the Fever's fan base and the general public. The fans, already fed up with what had happened, quickly mobilized online. The calls for a suspension of Jacy Sheldon were impossible to ignore. On social media, fans vented their anger, urging the league to take immediate action. Many expressed disbelief that a player could target one of the brightest stars in women's basketball with such blatant malice and face virtually no repercussions. In just hours, social media exploded with outrage, and fans rallied for change. They demanded that the WNBA finally take a stand and show that this kind of behavior wouldn't be tolerated. A suspension, a fine, or something to hold Sheldon accountable seemed like the only way to make a point. And yet, Sheldon's punishment: a flagrant one foul. That's it. A flagrant one for an eye poke that could have seriously injured Clark. It felt like a slap on the wrist, while Sophie Cunningham, who tried to defend Clark, was handed a flagrant 2 and fined. It's not just the fans who are angry. Even mainstream media outlets and sports personalities were forced to weigh in. Late-night hosts like Jimmy Fallon, who normally focus on jokes, took a serious moment to call for the protection of Caitlin Clark. Protect Caitlin Clark at all costs. Enough is enough, he said, echoing the sentiment that had been building among fans for hours. On the other side, Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports criticized Sheldon and Marbury, calling them out for their actions, branding them as jealous loser punks who didn't belong on the same court as Clark. The fury wasn't just limited to fans, it was everywhere. People could feel that something deeply wrong had occurred, and they weren't going to let it slide. Why does this moment hit so hard? Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's the economic engine driving the growth of the WNBA. Dr. Ryan Brewer, a finance expert from Indiana University Columbus, revealed just how vital Clark is to the league's success. In her rookie season, Clark was responsible for an astounding 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity. That's over a quarter of the league's total revenue generated by a single player. What makes it even crazier? Brewer estimates that in 2025, Clark will generate nearly $1 billion in economic value for the WNBA. That's right, $1 billion. She's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. She's the face of the league, driving ticket sales, boosting TV ratings, and attracting sponsorships. And yet, despite her monumental impact on the league, Clark is repeatedly targeted on the court with little to no protection from the officials. This isn't just a bad look for the WNBA, it's business malpractice. If Clark were injured during one of these attacks, the league wouldn't just lose a star, they'd lose millions in potential revenue. This is more than just about basketball. It's about the survival of the league itself. And right now, it seems like the WNBA isn't doing nearly enough to protect its biggest asset. The WNBA's failure to protect Caitlin Clark on the court is becoming more and more glaring. Every time Clark steps onto the floor, it feels like opposing teams see her as a target. The league is doing nothing to shield her from the physicality and aggression that have become a regular part of her games. Sheldon's actions were just the latest example of how Clark is being treated unfairly. It's not just a one-time incident, it's part of a growing pattern, and the league's lack of action is allowing it to continue. For fans and analysts alike, the frustration is mounting, and the calls for a stronger response are only getting louder. The WNBA can't keep ignoring this problem, or it risks alienating the very fans who have been supporting the league's growth. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's a cultural icon, and the league